The Nets offense, well, it's not an issue, but they have few answers on defense.
Well, yeah, and I think the one thing that stands out for as much as you look at the points allowed and field goal percentage of the opponents, but we're first going to look at the offense here by the Nets. And you said it, Nancy, they shared the ball well. There was nice spacing. Didn't shoot quite as efficiently from the three-point line as we had been seeing in the early parts of the year, but it's that ability to work the ball screens and pick and rolls because players like James Harden and Kyrie Irving, they will attract the attention of defenses, and that will leave players open. But as we looked at the defense, a lot of the issues come from just the pressure of not getting back in transition off of missed shots. And the Nets have made it clear, and Steve Nash has early in the season, about everyone getting back. Not as much concern about the offensive glass, but get back in transition defense. And you see it here. Cleveland was just on the run. Some of that came, as we mentioned, in the third quarter. Points off turnovers, 14 in that frame. And the Cavaliers just had an absolute field day. And right out of the gates, coaches will tell their teams, you can run on this group. And because of it, the other number that when you talk about the Nets defense that is an issue is they are last in the league in the most opponent field goal attempts. So in many cases, it's just about opponents getting up a greater number of shots and possessions. And we talked about a lot. Kevin Durant not on the floor tonight. Offensively, that hurts, but he's the Nets' best defender. So it factors into that end of the floor as well.
And you mentioned the points in the paint. 64 paints in the point the other night. 70 tonight for the Cavaliers versus the 46 for the Nets. Outscored 37-24 in that key third quarter. For more, we check back in with our play-by-play team, Ian Eagle and Richard Jefferson.
Nancy, the third quarter really did the Nets in. Cleveland had tremendous energy. And Richard, we know the defense is going to continue to be a topic. Teams will look to take advantage of the Nets' weaknesses, and the Cavaliers gained a lot of confidence in these two games. Both games, two of the best offensive performances we've seen from Cleveland this season.
Yeah, and the Cleveland Cavaliers added a lot when they added Jared Allen and they added Taurean Prince. Yep. We saw that, not only in the first game but in this game tonight. But really and truly, the Nets have the attention of the entire basketball community, the entire basketball world, not just from the fan standpoint, but from team standpoint. And okay, how do we match up with this group? How can we beat this team? What are the things that we're going to need to do to tweak our competition level against them? And so, these two games really kind of gave a formula for success. But the good news is that the Nets also know. They know the areas that they need to improve to get where they have to go.
And Richard, you've lived through this, playing on teams with big names. That also brings a higher scrutiny level. Everybody is watching. Everybody's paying attention. Everybody is dissecting your problems, and sometimes those problems grow because of all the chatter. Steve Nash is well aware of it. He talked about it pregame, pride on defense, how those things must change. And for Brooklyn, no Kevin Durant, so this was an opportunity to see Irving and Harden. What were your thoughts on the two of them playing together?
Well, it's funny. There was so much conversation in would there be enough offensive opportunities for the three players. Yeah. I don't think there's any question of that at this point in time. We look at guys like Jeff Green and Joe Harris their offensive opportunities have actually expanded with the quality of talent around them. So I don't look at that. It's all about defense. It's all about rebounding. Obviously, not having Kevin Durant, your 7-foot, wing player out there hurts your rebounding opportunities, but you're going to have to defend, and it's going to start with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. If those guys defend at a good level, then this team is going to be a force. But that's where the sacrifice is going to come in, not on the offensive end, but on the defensive end.
Second half of the back-to-back, it's the Miami Heat coming to town. It has not been a smooth road so far for Miami. We know they have a lot of talent, but they've dealt with a bunch of injuries. And Miami right now still looking for its footing here in 2021.
Yeah, they're going to be a good team later. Understand, when we talk about that quick turnover, everyone was talking about the Lakers. Well, the Miami Heat and their young players got a lot of minutes late into the season. So for them to have this quick turnaround, it was going to be a little difficult, in my opinion. They didn't have any real additions, so that this team was pretty set when they showed up to start this year. So when you have a couple of injuries, some COVID protocol situations, and they played a ton of minutes late, it's going to be, I think they're going to build up as the season progresses.
It's now a 2-game losing streak for the Brooklyn Nets. They'll try to put an end to it against Miami here at Barclays Center. Nancy, Sarah, back to you.
Thanks, Ian. Nets now 9-8 overall. 125-113 the final. Up next, Coach Nash. Stay with us. Set Brooklyn without KD, out for a rest day. 113 rather, the final, and clearly they missed him.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you know you are going to miss a player like Kevin Durant, but give credit to J.B. Bickerstaff and this Cleveland Cavaliers team, because once again, they came out with a sense of purpose and effort, and they did an excellent job in executing the game plan. And it's all the areas that we talk about all the time, right, Nancy? It's the defense. It's the taking care of the basketball. It is rebounding. And Cleveland understood what they needed to do, get it inside. And it wasn't just about, you look at points in the paint, 70-44 against this Brooklyn Nets team, but it wasn't just about post players. That is a collective team thing because it's about perimeter defense. It was about the ease in which the Cavaliers were able to get inside and pick their shots, pick their areas. So a lot of film, once again, for the Nets to take a look at.
Let's go right to that third quarter, which certainly loomed large as the Cavs went on, as we're dissecting, just as you said, Sarah, a 20-5 run that turned a 1-point Nets lead into a 14-point Cavalier lead. 8 turnovers in that frame. That was the turning point, right?
Third quarter, without a doubt. And you said, and you pointed the turnovers and points out turnovers, and that was the one area that we talked about in the first half that the Nets did such a nice job with taking care of the basketball. But it looked like they came out ready to go. Brooklyn did, and then once again, timeout was called. The Cavaliers come back, and it was just picking apart a lot of the areas that they saw in terms of gaps in the Nets' defense, and they continued to put pressure on the Nets, and just not enough offense from the Nets to be able to
really
come
wrapped it up beautifully. I didn't mean to step on you there. The rebounding, the turnovers, right? And defending in the middle as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Nancy, because I think so often we have talked about the front court or the lack of front court depth. Of course, Jared Allen, we saw on the other side how clear it was in terms of what he was able to do and what the Nets are missing. But again, it's not just about the inside players and the post players. It's about making sure that you're defending on the perimeter. You're not allowing the guards to get where they want to on the floor. So the defense as a whole, you can simply look to points in the paint or look at some of the bigs, but some of that comes with the pick and roll defense. Some of that comes with getting those stops out front that help keep guys out of the inside and out near the basket.
Some positives too, right? Mostly on offense. Several players put up big numbers, and obviously Jared Allen was very much up to face his former team.
And of course he's going to be up for it because he has got a competitiveness in him. But this is a lot of how we saw him play when he was a member of Brooklyn. And with him and Colin Sexton running that pick and roll, I mean, there was a couple plays that you saw the big smile on his face as he dunks over his former teammate Joe Harris. But it is tough to stop, and just the ability for Cleveland to be able to identify. You see the mismatch there with Harden in the post, the touch of Jared Allen using his shot. Everyone's collapsing in, and that comes back to the communication, because you see Reggie Perry kind of holding his arms up for the Nets as they try and come together. This is something to remember, that sometimes it's about rotation. Sometimes it's about those switches, knowing who's going where, and that is an aspect of it that is going to take a little time for everyone to get used to each other.
And that's another way in which you see that KD was missing another option that wasn't there for them to defend, which made it easier, obviously, on the Cavaliers side. And there's back with a vengeance were Jared Allen and Taurean Prince. Okay, on the Nets side, we're going to look at Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, and Kyrie Irving was special when it came to the offensive side of the ball. And this is a lot of what we've become accustomed to seeing. A major factor was his efficiency. And you watch him just reading the flow of the offense, where he can find his spots, where he can get to on the floor, that he's effective. Of course, for a player like Irving, he can get a shot off anytime he wants. And he showed it here today. Quick move past Sexton as there was a wide open lane. And for the Nets as a whole, it's about playing off of him as well. And you see some nice screens set up, the balance of the floor, shooters around the outside. And that's what you love to see. And that's what you expect from a player like Irving. But it's also about the complements of the balance of the scoring of the team and how you can help others to be at their best, which is going to be a continued part of of this growth of the Nets offense.
And there are the leading scorers in that 120.